Good evening. This is our presentation about Interlanguage. We are Henry Junior Ortiz, Julian David Uribe, and Lina Grisales. The agenda. First, important interlanguage aspects. Second, the case. SENA, first trimester apprentices of the technician in natural resources. Third, interlanguage analysis, the people's speech. We are going to take writing samples. Biography and credits.
Central linguistic process: overgeneralization, communication strategies, linguistic transfer, training transfer, language borrowing, and learning strategies. Error analysis. Interlingual errors are those that can be identified as interferences of other language already known by the individual. Very often, they come from his ill one.
This is our first case. My friend is a nurse. She studies in Estados Unidos. She is working in the hospital. My best friend's name is Alejandra, and she was working in the restaurant. I felt happy for she. She is beautiful. My friend is intelligent. She has 2 children, and she lives in the mother's house. In this writing, we can find different errors. The developmental errors, an intralingual error, overgeneralization, the reiterative use of she. It can be identified as a simplification strategy. The apprentices are in the process to identify and use another forms like connectors to express themselves. Meanwhile, they use the noun forms. We can identify interlingual error. In Spanish, the pronoun and the object pronoun are the same. Ella es feliz, me siento feliz por ella. In English language, the object pronoun is different from the pronoun. She is the pronoun and her is the object pronoun. Another developmental error. The apprentices confuse the past of the verb feel. Fell is the past of fall. The writings of the two verbs are similar. In the process of second language acquisition, that kind of error tends to disappear. We can find another errors, intralingual error. In Spanish, in the simple present, the verb doesn't change in a special form for the third person. Yo tengo, tú tienes, ella tiene. In English, in some case, the verb change in a particular form for the third person, like I have, she has. It's possible the apprentices apply this rule to English language in her or his first learning stage. This could be a developmental errors in the process of second language acquisition. That kind of errors tend to disappear. Intralingual errors. Add ds to the verb for the third person is something that is proper of the English language. In Spanish, you add s for the second person, tú vives, él, ella vive. The apprentice resorts to grammatical aspects to his L1 to express himself, but this kind of error is a developmental error too, and we can identify it. Another error is the use of the possessive.
Okay, now let's take a look to this case. This case is of about this case or this sample is made by one apprentice in natural researchers. He is an apprentice of Sena Institute, and he's in his first trimester of a technician. Now let's identify the first errors in this paragraph. It's a short paragraph, about like 1, 2, 3, 4 lines with a title. Well, it was at the end of the paragraph. I think it's okay. Now, in this sample or in this, I can note the first interlingual errors. Let's take a look to these sentences. My mother is a woman of skin dark, and she cried with facility. Both sentences has multiple interlingual errors. Those that are really clearly in here. We can notice them because it's like there is an interference of the first language. In this case, it's Spanish, and he was just like writing, like just like he writes in Spanish, without rules, without anything, just like we talk in Spanish in simple present. So for that reason, those these samples or these sentences are interlingual error. Now let's move on to the intralingual error. In this sentence, the sentence is this one. My mother was eating chicken yesterday. It's an interlingual error because there is a mix of different rules that this apprentice already knows, but he doesn't know or he's not able to use them all correctly. So for that reason, it's an interlingual error. He was trying to use like simple past, but at the same time, he was trying to do a sentence in past progressive. So multiple rules, but he doesn't know all them well right now. Finally, a developmental error. In this case, is this sentence. She do not work. It's a developmental error because are this kind of errors like we make when we are kids and we are learning our first language. So in here we cannot say that he is just writing, but he forgot about the rules of the simple present. So he forgot that the auxiliary was does, not do. But he think that he's right because he's using the auxiliary and the negative word in here. So I think he was thinking that he was just doing great, right in this sentence. But it's a developmental error that with the practice and with the learning of the language and more practicing, people are just going to learn about this developmental error, and he's going to disappear because he's going to try to next time he's going to write it with the right auxiliary. Okay, now let's continue with this. The second sample is from another apprentice of the same technician in natural resources. So let's start reading his paragraph. Well, he write let's start saying that he write a title for his paragraph. No, that is my mother is happy. Pretty simple for this student. And now let's move on to the test. Uh, my mother's name is Liliana. She's actress. She has 65 years old. She's tall. In his free time, play volleyball. In December, she was to the Joe Club. She's very happy with his family. She to cook very delicious. She does exercises or weekends. We live with my uncles. My uncles are very happy with my mother's. Okay, so now let's start talking about the interlingual errors. The first one is like she has 65 years old and she was to the yoga clubs. It's pretty clear in here that there is like inference from the symptoms that this person handled in his mother tongue, that is Spanish. So it's practically she's just translating without rules or without any other grammar topic. Now let's move on to the intralingual error, that is in his free time play volleyball. In here, we can hear that this apprentice already knows some rules of and uses of the gender, and he knows about the genders, about the possessives, but he's not using them again. He's not using them correctly. Finally, we got the developmental error, that in this case, in this apprentice, he has a lot of this. So which takes me to like a conclusion that he has been studying English for a couple years, so he put attention to his English classes on the high school, and he just started just like this, like making mistakes, like when you are learning a language, with the interlingual errors, just like writing without rules. Now he knows a lot of rules. We can pretty I am pretty sure about, because he knows a lot of rules in this paragraph. We can know it, but there are many developmental errors that with the time and practice, and of course memorizing and taking to his life these rules, so he's not going to think in the future, he's not going to think about these uh, minimal errors that he's making in his writing, uh, that he just made, that we are talking about in this moment. So those were the interlingual, intralingual, and developmental errors that I can find in this paragraph. Thank you very much.